Welcome to Mouth Dancing Podcast with your host, Young. Guess what episode this is? I want you to guess. It's number 97. How close was your guess? Probably not very close, but that's okay. Or maybe it was close and I'm just being an asshole, in which case I apologize profusely and I won't let it happen again. Something I was thinking about recently is the drivers in Seattle. Well, that's actually something I think about every time I drive. I don't know if any of you live in Seattle. Probably some of you do. But the drivers here are really, really bad. Like when I lived in New York, I thought the people there were kind of crazy, like dangerous drivers, right? But here it's the opposite. Everyone here is too cautious. It's like they're afraid of the gas pedal. Like the light will turn green and then sometimes it'll take several seconds before the car in front of you starts moving for some reason, and it's like, come on, it's green, hit the gas, we gotta go. And just everything is slow. Like when they're making a turn, it's like they come to a stop almost. When they're parking, it takes forever. When they're merging onto the freeway, they usually don't reach freeway speed beforehand, which you're supposed to do. If you took driving school, you would know that. They like to also slow down when they're changing lanes on the freeway, which is wrong. You're supposed to speed up. Just a million things like that drive me crazy on a daily basis when I'm driving. And I wonder why it's so different here. Why? It's the same country, right? New York and Seattle are in America. But the driving culture is so different. Is it the people, I guess? People are different somehow? I don't know. I mean, it's still America, and it's mostly similar people. Maybe the culture's... Well, New York's more fast-paced in general, that's for sure. But does that explain why people drive differently? I don't know. It's very, very frustrating to drive in Seattle. Yeah, is there a happy medium somewhere? Is that like in the middle of the country? Is that where it kind of converges and becomes normal? It's like over here in the Pacific Northwest, everyone's overly cautious. And on the East Coast, they drive like maniacs, like driving through residential areas at 100 miles an hour. Not stopping for pedestrians. Like they'll practically run you over in New York when you're crossing the street. I mean, they'll come within literally inches of you. They won't stop for you. Unless you're like right in front of their car and they absolutely have to stop. Then they'll stop. But even then, New York City has a lot of hit and runs all the time. Because the drivers there are maniacs. But yeah, here it's polar opposite. It's like you don't have to drive that slowly and that cautiously. Of course, you should always be cautious, but we got to keep traffic moving too. People got places to go and things to do, right? So, is there a way to change that? I don't think there's a way to change that. And also, this kind of driving leads to lots of traffic jams. Like, one person driving really badly on the freeway, like slowing down to change lanes, that could cause a traffic jam that'll last for hours after that. Just that one person driving like that. But it's not even one person, it's like everyone drives like that. Almost. Except for transplants, I think they tend to bring their driving habits with them from their home state or their home country. I don't know. But after a while, everyone, assimilates, I guess. Does anyone else feel this way about Seattle drivers, or... It can't just be me, right? Maybe some people here actually think that the Seattle drivers are really dangerous. I mean, there are dangerous drivers here, like people who like to race their cars and stuff. But they're an exception, like a very small percentage of drivers. Most are like grandmas or grandpas. I saw this video on YouTube recently of Japan is starting to persecute Christians again. Like, it's really hard to be Christian in Japan because of the whole Unification Church scandal. Did you hear about this? I talked about it before, but basically a bunch of, Japanese politicians had ties to the Unification Church, which are the Moonies, and this guy assassinated the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe because he had ties to the Unification Church, and the Unification Church destroyed this assassin's family by making his mom give all their money to the church. So he hated the church, and he assassinated the Prime Minister because of this. And after that, Japanese people have developed a very strong distaste for Christianity. I mean, they already didn't like it because it was never popular in Japan, right? I know, there was a very small percentage of people in Japan who were Christians. This goes back to the Tokugawa era, which was like the 1500s, and he persecuted Christians, executed them, and banned the religion in the country. But yeah, now it's back again in full force. Japanese people, they ostracize people who are Christians and they treat them like dirt, which is kind of sad. I mean, I guess you shouldn't be bullied for your religion, but I do agree with the reasoning behind it. And it's not a religion that's native to Japan. Japan has its own native religion, Shinto, right? And it shouldn't be allowed to spread there because it's just going to destroy the society. Like, we all know how crazy Christians are. I mean, there are normal Christians, but there are also crazy ones. And no matter what with that religion, there's going to be the crazy ones. You can't get rid of them. So it's better to just not have it at all in the country. So I applaud Japan for this. Thank you. And Korea and China need to start doing this too. Korea has way too many Christians, and China has like a growing number of them. They need to be stamped out and destroyed permanently. And lastly, I want to talk about the benefits of being a convicted felon. Because surprisingly, there are benefits. It's not a good thing to be a felon, of course. But if you are one, if you just happen to be one because you made some mistakes in your life, or maybe you were falsely accused even, there are at least some benefits to it. You can't serve jury duty. Jury duty is a huge pain in the ass. Costs our economy billions of dollars a year in lost wages and other productivity. And convicted felons can't serve on juries, so that actually helps the economy and boosts morale in the workplace. If you work with a convicted felon, he's like, thank God I don't have to go to jury duty. And everyone's like, yeah, that's awesome. And then they work better and more happily. That's good. You want a happy workforce. You can't vote. Voting in America is total bullshit anyway. You have a choice between two false choices. You're still just voting for the main people who are in control of this country. Doesn't matter if you vote Democrat or Republican, it's the same shit. It's just a fake dichotomy. They all serve the interests of the ruling class. They all wage wars in foreign countries for the military-industrial complex. They support the CIA, which conducts evil operations all over the planet. And, they're in the hands of the corporations. So that's good, you can't vote. Why waste your time doing that? And some people are attracted to criminals, actually. They find felons and other criminals attractive. And everyone needs love. Even criminals do, right? If they don't get love, they might do more bad stuff. You need love to bring you back to the light. And if a convicted felon can attract partners, that's a good thing, right? Like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, he had groupies who would go and attend all of his trials, and they would sit in the benches and like fawn over him. He would get love letters. I think he got married too after he was convicted. And I don't know, maybe that was a good thing for him and his wife, that they found each other. They found love, right? It helps people who would otherwise be single find a partner. So those are the benefits of being a convicted felon. It's a short list, but surprisingly, there are benefits. These things, they're good for all of society, not just the convicted felon. Of course, don't become a convicted felon in the first place. That's a given, right? But at least if you do become one, there's an upside to it. Yeah, other than that, I just want to say there are more benefits to not becoming a convicted felon, so go that route instead. And on that note, I'd like to end this episode. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.